Welcome to another episode of Between Two Ferns. One fern. Sorry, this is Uncommon Entrepreneurs. So I'm here today with Mr. Ron with Halos and Hearts. Appreciate you joining.
Man, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
appreciate the invite.
Of course. So this is another nonprofit spotlight where we've known each other for at least over a year, and I know I see consistently, pictures and updates and friends that have helped you on rooftops to do what you're doing. So we'll get into what it is, but maybe just to start, what is Halos and Hearts?
Halos and Hearts Foundation is something that I came up with from wanting to serve and help other people. And halos is kind of indicative of angels, right?
Yes.
And so it's kind of angels that come into people's lives and given of their heart to help people that are desperately in need.
That's great. And so are you originally from Puerto Rico?
No, originally from Southern California. Made my way up to Seattle.
Okay.
Raised a family there. Moved down to Utah.
Got it.
We are a 501c3 out of Utah.
Nice.
And now nonprofit here in Puerto Rico.
Got it. Yes. I know you have a fiscal sponsor at the moment, so you have an 1101 if I'm understanding, and
Yes.
you are about to get approved for your own.
Yes.
Maybe by this time this video comes out, but
Just
either way,
just days away. Yeah,
you're Act 2260 qualified for a donation, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. So there'll be a link below. This episode sponsored by Donate PR, the premier platform to see quality nonprofits that have been vetted, and so you can donate to your nonprofit through there and all that. So great. So let's kind of get into it. What inspired you to start Halos and Hearts?
That's a good question, because I've never pictured myself doing what I'm doing now. It wasn't even in the cards. I've always been one to want to go help and serve people, whether it's my neighbor, driving down the road, stopping to help somebody change their tire. I've always had that sense of wanting to help somebody that needs help. So really my story begins over 40 years ago. I served here in Puerto Rico as a missionary. And so I volunteered my time, almost 2 years here in Puerto Rico as a young man. I learned Spanish at that time, and over the course of 40 years, I had never returned. I went back, got married, had family, raising children, and we never made that big vacation to come back to Puerto Rico. So when Hurricane Maria hit, my heart just went out to the people here. November, right after the hurricane, I came down for a couple of weeks and helped in the disaster relief. When I went back home, I went back to my mundane life, sitting behind a desk. At the time, I was a full-time estimator, so my world is construction and building bridges and roadways and that. I could not get the images out of my mind. The east side of the island, you had Yabucoa, Humacao, and Naguabo. You have these images of people without power, without water. We were passing out lights during that 2 weeks that I was here. And you would go to a home and they have this little tiny lantern that they've been living without power since Irma. And so it's very satisfying to give somebody some light, to give them a way to charge a cell phone. So after that 2 weeks, I go back at my desk doing my job, and I could not get those images out of my mind. And so that instinct that I had to always want to serve and to give and to help just became so overwhelming. And came to the point where I decided to leave my career, and I came back and began to do this full time.
Wow, interesting. And how long ago was that?
It's almost 3 years ago, in March when I came down.
So after Maria?
Yeah, after
And that
Maria.
prompted it?
Yeah, coming here and seeing Maria and seeing the events. With a construction background, I just knew that what's the devastation that's here is going to take 3 to 5 years to really help the people here in Puerto Rico. Even in November, when we were down here helping, one afternoon or one morning, we're in Naguabo, no power, no water, devastated, just a disaster area. And that afternoon, I'm in the food court in Ponce. the lights are on, people are mingling, families, and it just hit me. It's like, this is so strange. You have people just feels like so unaware of the devastation that's happened just, 30 miles away. So that was a big impact to me, and that's really what drew me back to. My heart never left Puerto Rico, so it was really coming back home, and since then I have gained a lot more friends and associates and families that I care for dearly now, having been here for almost 3 years.
Wow, it's very selfless of you to donate your time, to leave a career, to come to an island that you just felt called to. And that's interesting. Yeah, a lot of people leave, they stick around for a few months, but not commitment like you've shown. So let's maybe get into where we are now. Like what are you kind of doing on a week to week? What are you seeing?
So the need is still out there. There's still a lot of families without roofs. Once the roof disappeared, everything inside gets destroyed. And some of these homes, they're, from the world standard or from our standard in the United States or whatever, very teeny tiny homes, but it's their home. They love their home. And so what I experience is we'll find a family that needs a new roof put on, either through a community leader or referral, and we'll talk to them, find out their situation, and then we come in and put the roof on. And it's wonderful to see the wife or the mom or the kids that will come as we're starting, because before that, there's still debris. The house just hasn't been really cleaned up. But the moment we show up and we start putting a roof on, they're in there sweeping and cleaning, and you really see home ownership. You see the pride. That's their home. And there's still a lot of families out there that have moved on, living in rentals or living with relatives, that still would like to move back into their home. And so on a day-to-day basis, we've been doing a couple of roofs a month. We're a smaller group. We have volunteers that come from beforehand. A lot of volunteers came from the States and came down. They'd be here for about a week. We'd put them to work. Some have experience, some don't. We provide all the equipment. And then I'm the one out there, kind of the lead foreman. Out of all my construction work, I've done a lot of remodel personally. And I never pictured myself doing roofs.
It's hard work.
It is, as a career. I'm 61, and so to be up on a roof and doing that, keeps me young. But we get people with no experience, but with my help and experience, by the end of a week or 2 weeks, we have a roof put on, a structurally sound roof that hopefully will stay on the next time we have a hurricane. Wow,
that's amazing. So there's a couple ways somebody can get involved: volunteering and financial.
Yes, yeah, right. Right now, always donations is probably the biggest struggle that foundations or humanitarian groups really struggle with is getting the funding to move things forward. We all know that it takes money to get things done. The second half to that are volunteers. And so being able to donate is definitely needed, and the volunteers is definitely needed. With COVID, a lot of our volunteers kind of shut down. I got stuck off the island in a country, got locked down and basically in the Bahamas. Puerto Rico had shut down, nothing was going to happen. So I ended up staying there to give my support and efforts to those in Grand Bahama. So when I came back...
So Halos of Hearts went over there to do some roof repairs because they just had even a very traumatic event too.
Yes, with Hurricane Dorian. So that's another aspect of what we're doing as a humanitarian group is helping in the Bahamas also. But because COVID, nobody was traveling. So when I came back, we began doing roofs, and I get on the phone and start soliciting local volunteer help. So this year I probably had more local volunteer help than we've ever had. And for an example, it took us 2 or 3 weeks to do a roof in Humacao. And some people either took off for a day off work to come help, but I had over 13 volunteers that were there for either half day or a full day, but we cycle through. They get there, we train them on a little job to do on how to put the screws in, how to put some metal on, and so that was a great project because that's probably the most volunteers I've had on one project. But and it's great satisfaction. I mean, where else in the world can you find that satisfaction of serving than going out and giving of your time to somebody else? I mean, there's nothing like it. So it's a good feeling when I'm able to help people find something greater than themselves to go serve and help somebody.
That's amazing. We'll put some photos through this too, just to give context to what you're doing, because it's pretty visual, and wow, very, it's a hard job obviously to do, roof work, but I'm hearing you say, any testimonies from families or maybe even volunteers that have had a profound effect from what you're doing?
Yeah, there's quite a few families out there that are grateful that we have helped them. I mean, literally the roof is the first thing that needs to get done. And sometimes the roof is too expensive for them to even put a roof on. So some people with FEMA, the kind of money they received, someone received $3,000, someone else would have received $20,000, right? And
there's an insurance gap.
Yeah, appraiser type. That was really the struggle here, was to see how FEMA claims, and I don't know if you really want to put this part in there. We're talking about FEMA, and I don't know if it's bad mouthing FEMA or whatever, right? Don't put that in there. But the process, because it was so devastating, you had people receiving way more than another for the exact same trouble. So people without experience are approving claims. And so you have people that if you only had $3,000 and it's a $10,000 effort to put a roof on, they weren't putting a roof on. And a lot of those people were just hanging on to their money. So it was great to know that they saved their money, we put a roof on, and then they were able to go through and finish the electrical and the cabinets and do some of the interior work needed. We've also helped with some of the interior. Some we've gone back and done electrical work. I mean, that's a big need still. So funding we receive goes towards that type of work to help people get the electrical, get cabinets put in, and help them actually get moved in. Yeah,
there's this phrase people say these days, first world problems. Like, people don't realize what it's like. You don't have a roof on your house for 2-3 years. I mean, how disruptive is that to your life? Like, what is it like when your internet gets cut off for one day? You know what I mean? So it's pretty powerful. You're given like hope to people. That's pretty powerful. Do you take a salary?
No. I've been volunteering since I've started. So, and nobody in the foundation, really, everybody's a volunteer. So 100% of our donations goes towards those efforts: equipment, materials, vehicles, anything that's a direct cost that goes to make that happen.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
But as we're kind of wrapping up, what other, what else are you seeing, like, that people should know, like the impact or whatever?
I think over time, we're 3 years beyond Maria, right? And the reconstruction side will taper off. As a nonprofit group, as Halos and Hearts, we're looking at other initiative, other ways to continue to help people. So this next year, we're starting to help communities establish community gardens and small little farms, small fincas, right? Our first one will start in February. And the idea is to go to a community center, let me start this over. So another one of our initiatives that we're doing, because the roof building and the construction rebuilding will kind of subside, and so as a group, we're committed to stay here in Puerto Rico and help families and help those that are still in need. We consider ourselves a long-term recovery. So part of that is sustainability. And you make the assumption that people know how to, plant or plátanos or create a garden. People really don't. So our initiative is to go out and establish community gardens. We'll go in and fund it, buy the plants, the plátanos, and go ahead and create the garden boxes, help educate the local community. It's a place where they can learn, get their hands dirty, and then with that knowledge, they can take it to their own homes. And so I'm trying to create an environment to incorporate more local Puerto Ricans to come, because to come on a Saturday or a Sunday or a Friday through Sunday and help establish a community garden, I think there's a lot of people that would love to go out and help do that. So that's really something that we're looking forward to, and getting off the roof. So to do some, get my fingernails dirty with soil.
Yeah.
And helping that would be great too.
For sure. So you're building community by that. You're teaching, sustainability.
Yes.
You're, that's more important than ever right now. Is everybody's kind of isolated. You're, this island. You throw a seed on the ground, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
So, but maybe they don't have the skills and they don't know how simple it could be.
Yeah,
so you're kind of teaching a man to fish.
Yes, exactly, and that's the idea. To be able to give back to the community, take the donations that we receive and use them where needed, and we think that's going to be a good mission for us to do that also.
That's awesome. Well, good. Any last thoughts?
Serving others is one of the greatest joys that someone could receive, and for me at least, and I think other people can find that, and I think we're there to help people do that. People can reach out to me. I'm accessible.
How do they get a hold of you?
They can go to my website, which is halosandhearts.org. I have an email address. A lot of people email me or text me is a good way.
We'll put are you fine with the info in the notes?
Yeah, that's
so
it.
feel free to reach out to volunteer or to donate or learn more.
Yeah.
You're approachable, of course.
Yeah.
Well, good. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Check out their nonprofit. It's worthy of it. We're shooting in amazing Coco Haus and the new Co.Lab that just got launched. So if you have a need for doing any kind of like podcasting or video work, this is amazing, as well as this is recorded by Record Space Studios. So appreciate you coming on, Ron. You're doing good work, and people need that right now. So I agree, to give is to receive. So thanks for coming on, Ron.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, this has been great, and especially to donate PR for their platform and a way for people to donate. They put a lot of effort into doing that, so I'm grateful for that, for your group, and for having me.
Yeah, of course, for
Thanks.
sure. We'll put the links below. Appreciate you coming on, and yeah.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah.